Welcome to my channel. My name is Ria and today we're going to talk about the new moon happening in the sign of Virgo. So new moons are points where new energy comes in, new energy that we work on for the next lunar month, for the next 28 days or so. Now this new moon is in the sign of Virgo. This right here is the sign of Virgo, and that's the new moon. That's the moon, that's the sun. When they're together, they're conjunct. That's a new moon. So new energy is coming in. Now, Virgo is a very analytical sign. It's the sign associated with critical thinking. It's the sign associated with our day-to-day routine, with our health, with our lifestyle in a way, you can say, right? What time we wake up, what do we eat, how do we exercise, all those things are Virgo related. Diet, right? That's also a Virgo related thing. Virgo is also the sign of hard work. It's about working. It's also the sign of health, right? So these are the broad themes that can come up with the Virgo new moon, right? Maybe new diets, maybe new workout regimens, maybe a new routine, maybe a new lifestyle. So all these things can come in with a new moon. Now, of course, this is very general. More important is where this new moon is happening in your personal charts, which house, because that's the area of your life, areas associated with that particular house that will be highlighted. If you don't know your chart, that's perfectly fine. The overall energy is still useful, right? So to sum it up so far, a lot of focus on our day-to-day, a lot of focus on health-related matters, a lot of focus on things like routines, on work schedules, on diet, on exercise, that sort of thing. And since it is a sign associated with critical thinking, we can be analyzing, we can be breaking things down to see what's working, what's not working. That is also possible. Now, these are the positive things associated with Virgo, right? Being very analytical, being very detail oriented, being able to figure out what's what. But Virgo is also a sign that can get stressed out, that can be prone to getting a little anxious. So these are the things we want to watch out for. We don't want to get too stressed out. We don't want to be too perfect, right? We don't want to focus too much on perfectionism. So these are the little things that we need to watch out for. Not being too perfect, just not getting stressed out, doing the best that we can. So that's something to consider. Now this moon is making a few aspects, so let's see those. So let's see. The first aspect I want to talk about is the fact that it is trining Uranus. This is Uranus and it is in a trine with Uranus. Trine is a positive 120-degree angle, and Uranus is the planet of change, of sudden things happening, of the unexpected, of the extraordinary. It's the planet of science, tech, innovation, progress. All these things fall under Uranus, right? So it's a very futuristic, change-bringing sort of energy, and it is aspecting this moon in a positive way. So what this means to me is that changes, things that are not ordinary, those things can happen. Right now, this is a positive aspect. However, Uranus is highly unpredictable. So it seems like it's positive, but with Uranus, it's best to just be prepared for, things coming up out of the ordinary and just doing our best to deal with those things. It's useful to know this because sometimes, especially me, like I get stressed out if things are not going according to plan, very Virgo and Capricorn. So I get very stressed out. But if I know, okay, it might be that things may not go exactly according to plan or structure, right? Just being aware of that helps me. So that's why I'm saying it, just being aware of the knowledge that, yeah, maybe our routines, maybe our lifestyles, maybe a little different for a few days. Maybe something comes up that we need to deal with that's not really expected, but that's okay. But this is a positive aspect. So all I'm saying is that it is positive, but with Uranus, it's best to be a little prepared to just rise up to the occasion and embrace things that come up out of the ordinary. Now, the next thing I want to mention is that if you recall, the last new moon we had was about a month ago, and it was in the sign of Leo, the new moon in Leo. And if you recall, that moon was in a square 90-degree angle with Uranus, right? So that was sudden energy, that was unexpected changes, that was a lot of unusual things, right? Maybe our routines, maybe our lives were a little unusual at that time, and since it was a square a month ago, it might have felt challenging. And why I bring this up is because this time the aspect is positive, but it is still connecting with Uranus. So last month it was more challenging, the changes, the out of the ordinary things, but this month is more like, okay, we're used to this change. We're used to this new thing that started a month ago. We are used to this new energy. So it's easier to deal with that. And that's why I wanted to mention it, because this unexpected thing or out of the ordinary thing or the change that's happening in our lives for the future feels easier this month than it did last month. Now, the next aspect that I want to speak about is the fact that we have Jupiter here and Pluto here, both in a trine with the moon, right? This is about a 6-degree orb, and this is again about a 6-degree orb. So it's not very close, but it's still aspecting this moon. Jupiter is a benefic, it brings lessons as well. So with Jupiter and this moon, maybe some lessons coming through, maybe something positive coming through with this moon, especially because the last 6 weeks have been all about standing up to the changes, embracing the changes, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But this is maybe some lesson that we are learning that's coming through. Maybe this is something positive that's coming through, right? Because of all the work we've been putting in for the past few months. And with Pluto trining this moon, Pluto is the planet of transformation, right? It takes something and it changes it completely. It's a complete change. It's a complete cleansing. It's a complete catharsis with Pluto, and this is a positive aspect. So maybe changes, right? Maybe the transformation. And this again ties into what happened 6 weeks ago with Pluto square the nodes, because 6 weeks ago, actually for a few months now, we have been really working on changing. We have been really working on embracing the new, getting rid of the old. We've been doing that work, and it hasn't felt easy, right? Because Pluto was squaring the nodes. And it's end July that Pluto squared the nodes exact. And since then, we've been in this intense energy of changing things around completely, right? Whether that's something material in your life, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a business, whether that's family, whether that's something else, or whether it's something internal, right? Maybe your internal mindset, your internal emotional makeup, maybe how you're dealing with things, how you're responding to things, that's undergone a change. But whatever it is, the past 6 weeks and July, even building up to July, I would say as far back as April, May, June, July, this change started building up, right? Started building up, and we worked very hard to embrace it, to change, to accept that change. And now Pluto is making a positive aspect with that moon, and that intense square that I speak about in every video is easing off. And what that means is that now all the work that we have done is kind of coming together. We've done the hard work of change, whether that's emotional work, whether that's starting a business, whether that's working on a relationship, whatever it is, the hard work is now done. And now it's more like, okay, I've made the changes and now I'm kind of there. Now I'm easing into this. It's like, how do I explain this? Okay, it's like moving into a new house, right? So when you're moving, when you're packing up, and when you're searching for a new place and then moving in there, that's a lot of work, right? It takes a lot of work to pack up. It takes a lot of work to find a new place, to move there. It's a lot of work. But that's happened. Now we're kind of there, and now it's the little things, right? Maybe we have to figure out the closest grocery store, little things like that. But the change, the major chunk of that work is now complete, and now it's getting easier. And that's what I mean with the transformation to Pluto, that it's getting easier and easier to embrace the change that we've worked so hard on. Now, that being said, I do want to mention one more thing, that while this moon is making these aspects, we've been in major retrograde time, right? A lot of planets have been retrograde, and I'll just point them out on the chart once. Let's see. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Jupiter, Uranus, Mercury, right? So many planets retrograde. Until about 4th of September, Venus here was retrograde. So a lot of retrogrades. And why I'm bringing this up is because while there have been these changes, while we've been in this intense transformative time, it's felt very slow for a month or two, right? It's also felt very slow, especially in July onwards. And that's because of the retrogrades. With Venus moving forward 4th of September, it felt a little bit better. But now Mercury is still retrograde, and Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, right? Where we have this moon, and Mercury retrograde can really seem to slow things down. It is moving direct 16th September, so not too long after this new moon. So we'll see things picking up pace after 16th of September. But throughout this, especially since I would say August 23rd, when Mercury went retrograde, it really feels like things have just become stuck, right? But that's not really the case, because retrogrades have their own purpose. It's like, okay, so when a planet moves direct, we do things for the first time, then it moves back, and that's like a review. You know, we retrospect, we reconsider things, we rework things, and then the third time the planet moves direct over those degrees, and that's when we figured everything out. So think of it like, okay, when I was in school, right, I would go to class, but not everything is easily understandable in class. You have to come back and review it. That's what a retrograde is like in a way, right? You've gone through the material ones, but you need to review it, figure out what you missed out, figure out where the loopholes are, review it, figure out, okay, this is what works for me, this is easy for me, this is something I might need to work on. So retrograde is a lot like that. So we've been in that mode. So it feels a little slow because we've been through those things once, and now it's time to redo them again in a way. So coming back to the chart, it's felt slow, it's felt stuck, but now with Mercury moving forward on 16th, things will start to pick up pace a little bit as well. So that's the energy in a nutshell. And if I had to sum it up, I would just say that there's one more aspect I did not speak about. So let me speak about that before we sum it up. We also have this moon in an opposition to Neptune. Right? Neptune is the planet of the higher realms, of the spiritual realms. It's a planet that's not grounded in reality, right? It's the other realm. It's creativity, it's spiritual. It does not really like reality. And then we have Virgo here. That is all about reality. And this moon is opposing Neptune, a stressful aspect with the planet of confusion, spirituality, delusions, right? So on this moon, while there are positive aspects going on, we still might feel confused, right? We still might not be able to see things completely clearly, right? What are the changes that we've been making? What is that leading to? It's still a little unclear. To sum it up so far, a moon that can bring extraordinary things, it can bring unexpected things, maybe connected to what happened last month with the new moon in Leo, but maybe feels a bit easier. Also the transformation that we've been working so hard on, especially in July onwards, even before that, is now getting easier to live with and accept. At the same time, there is still confusion. There can be an element of I'm not really able to see very clearly where this is headed. So that's also there. So these are the things to keep in mind, and I think that sums up the moon in a nutshell. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and now I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.